Alright, bitches, here's what's up for week 2. Fantasy-wise and NFL-wise. Man, some tough matchups this week, both in fantasy and in the NFL. We'll start at the top of the board with my matchup against William, Team FedEx in your face, and that was unfortunately a heartbreaker for me. A very large disappointment in some of my key players, such as Kaepernick, that if anybody watched that game, that was an unbelievable disappointment. It was literally one of the most boring games I watched all week, with two really, really strong teams, but then that's what you get when you have a defensive struggle. I think the only players who scored in that entire game, fantasy-wise, who made out all right were the Seahawks D and Marshawn Lynch, who, thank God, he did me well. So did some of my other wide receivers, but unfortunately, too much other shit going on. William pulled it through, had a pretty solid performance from all his players. That game was decided by less than 10 points. Very disappointing. Me and William both go to 1-1 after that game. Next, Max against the New York Football Giants, Mr. John Manalaeus. That was kind of a blowout. Max had a pretty solid outing from a lot of his guys. Two of his wide receivers, Des Bryant and Ryan Cobb, both doing very solid. Good pickups, Max, on those two. Those guys are going to do some work over the season. Good luck on your running backs, though. I hear you're in need. Also, John had a pretty dismal game from most of his players, so that's not really a surprise that that ended the way that it did. Max goes to 1-1, John falls to 0-2. Next up, Reeve against James. They had a interesting matchup going in there. I believe that Reeve was initially projected to win, I think. In any case, Reeve had kind of a mediocre, bad game from all of his players. Brandon Marshall doing the best on that team. James had a pretty solid performance from all his players, especially Julio Jones. Good job, James. Where's Roddy White in that offense? He has disappeared pretty much entirely. But James pulls it out, 260 against 193. James goes to 2-0. Reeve falls to 1-1, unfortunately for him. So, next up, Pittsburgh Steelers against Hanschab. Also, a little bit closer here. A little bit closer. Eric pulls out a win. He goes to 2-0, and Paul falls to 0-2. There was Jimmy Graham finally stepped up and did what he did in that game, scoring Pittsburgh Steelers 76 points. Good for Jimmy Graham. And a pretty reasonable performance all around from Paul's team, unfortunately. But he lost, and there's that. So, next up, we got Brad Tate going against Verg Sandwich, Art Collins. I thought Art was going to win this game initially. I think he was projected to win, but, Brad Tate, Hamburglers pulls it out, gets a real solid performance from a couple of his players. LaShawn McCoy did a pretty amazing job, and Mike Wallace doing a good job in Miami. In my other league, I had him on my bench, unfortunately, so that did not work out for me. But Hamburglers takes it by about 30 points, not a whole lot. Brad goes to 1-1, and Art falls to 0-2. And last up, we got Kit Dockery against Dennis Key. Dennis smashed him. Not by a large margin, but whenever Dockery loses, it's a smash. That's what I say. So, Key's Crushers, the auto draft team, goes to 2-0 with his team of running backs, and Dockery falls to 1-1 like a shitbag. And that's what he deserves because he's a faggot. Any case, we have now a standings are starting to break up a little bit. You know, we got 3 people at 2-0. James, Eric, and Dennis, the auto drafter. We have a wide swath of people in the interim at 1-1, including myself. Both Art, Paul, and John have all fallen to 0-2. Better luck, guys, in this coming week. I know we're all excited about week 3. I know there's been some trade proposals floating around, but nothing. I don't think nothing's landed yet. For some reason, trades just don't ever really seem to go through in this league. I would encourage all of you to get more involved in the message boards in the forum. Fantasy football just isn't quite the same unless you're talking some shit. It's great to beat somebody and take home that W, but if there's no competitive spirit and fire, come on, guys. Let's get on the message boards, get on the smack boards when they're working. Yes, Max. This whole server is hosted apparently on an Xbox. Go ESPN. The smack boards don't always work, but I do encourage you to get involved. Jump online, talk some shit, have some fun, post on the forums. Let's make a good season of it, guys. I look forward to all the Week 3 matchups. I think we're going to have some fun. Hopefully Max loses. Suck dick, Max.